People come in many shapes and sizes. We just look around us. You can see myself in a Toastmaster today. I'm pretty tall, and you probably did notice that before. Many times in my life, people have come up to me and said, "It must be fantastic to be as tall as you are." Or even they say, "I wish I was as tall as you were. It's the one thing I want in my life." And quite often the ladies say to me, "Oh, so tall and handsome." But maybe not the second time. For me, it's just who I am. But it's not all roses, I can tell you that. Life isn't fantastic when you're as tall as I am. And today I'd like to give you a little introduction into the trials and tribulations of being the tall guy. Not the fall guy, but the tall guy. And we'll start with growing up. I was always tall as a child, and people used to call me names sometimes, like beanpole or lamppost, but I wasn't very bright up top. Maybe they'd say to me, "What's the weather like up there? You can see above the clouds." Or even they would say to me, "Were you born in a fertilizer bag?" And then sometimes I would go the other way and they'd start calling you titch or shorty or short stuff. But my favourite was too tall. Too tall for what? So growing up wasn't entirely easy, but clothes weren't such a hardship when you're younger. Certainly I could wear clothing for someone a couple of years older than me and I could get by. It worked. But as I got taller, clothes started to be a problem. And your sleeves would be halfway up your arms, or your trousers shorts would be up here somewhere, and your trousers would be halfway up your legs, and if floods are back in fashion, that would be quite nice and easy, and I'd be happy. But clothes are always a problem, just one to be aware of. And sports. I like sports, but people just look at me and go, "Well, look how tall you are. You have an unfair disadvantage," they say to me. I don't have an advantage. They say, "Look, you're going to do the 100-metre sprint. All you need to do is stride. You're across the finishing line. It's not fair." And I like swimming as well. And they said, "No, not fair again. All you need to do is fall in. You're touching the other side." So there was that whole conception of it not being fair because I was tall. I'm not a giant, just a little bit taller than the average person. And then we can talk about beds and buildings. Beds and buildings. Beds, fine again, once I was a little boy, but as I got taller and I reached the maximum tallosity. It's not a word, I just made it up. But when I was about 6'6", and that's where I am, about 6'6", my feet used to hang off the end of the bed. Can you imagine it? And it's not so bad if you're in Canada in a nice warm house, but in the UK where I grew up, inside was half a degree warmer than outside. And the bottom half of my legs from about my ankle down was hanging off the edge of the bed. I'm surprised I didn't get frostbite in my ankles. But it gets worse. I know what, we'll put a tailboard on the end of the bed. Fantastic, the bed's 6 foot, I'm 6'6". Now I'm squashed into this bed, curled up, trying to get a comfortable night's sleep. It's not so easy. It gets worse. Sometimes they put those railings on the bottom of the bed, tailboards and railings. Can you imagine that? I'm lying there, just wiggled my feet between the railings, and as I doze off to sleep, I'm thinking, I hope I don't roll over in the middle of the night. I'll probably break my leg. That's not so fun. And buildings. Buildings. And particularly doorways. Now in the UK you get beams, and beams can be a real problem in the old houses. But doorways are always a problem. And as I go through doorways, I'm always ducking. Everywhere I go, people go, "Why are you doing that?" Notice, I'm just ducking. Everywhere I'm going, ducking. I'm ducking. Always through ducking. I'm not a duck, It does help my chicken impression. Very nice and easy. It works. But I came across a strategy for getting through my doorways. You can imagine my doorway's right here. As I approach the doorway, I stride. See that? Maybe you saw that. I'll do it again. Look at the difference. I just lowered about 4 inches, and it's fantastic. It works really, really well. Until someone talks to me as I go to the doorway. "Matt, what? Go on!" I'm still around, so maybe knocked a little bit of sense into me out later on. Then we have cars and conversation. My first car, I had to rip out the front seat, sit in the back, and I could hold the seat in the car. Now, that's not true, but it was pretty tight. And I don't have the fortune, like many of you may have, to have a convertible. As you can imagine what it's like for me driving around a convertible car, using my forehead as a bug screen. And it's absolutely no fun. And conversation, well, I love to speak, I love to talk to people, but when you go out to the bars, and you're talking to everybody, and they're all down here somewhere, about that height, and they're all talking, listening to each other, sound doesn't seem to travel so far. And you're wandering around, you're standing there, I don't know what's going on, and everybody's having a nice conversation. You look across at your friend, oh, he's going bald. Kind of rough. But you do miss out on the conversation. So there's just a few insights into some of the trials and tribulations of being a tall guy. It's not all roses. Life can be difficult at times being tall, as it can be to be any size. But would I give it up for the world? Not a chance.